Hello and welcome to the Story X Story podcast, where we discuss stories across pop culture plus give you advice on creating your own. It's episode number 29 and today we're going behind the story. I'm your co-host Nigel.
I'm Tazziii, streamer and co-host.
And our guest today is a cosplayer, Casey from LM Cosplays. Casey, welcome to the show.
Hello!
Cool, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. Before we get into it, I just want to remind listeners that you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, YouTube, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts from. You can also send us feedback and questions to feedback@mayamada.com or just throw them at us on social media, at mayamada on Twitter, at mayamadatees on Instagram, or at Tazziii on both. Now, let's get to know our guest.
So today we're talking with Casey, aka Mangaloo, from Maryland in the US. So we're going to talk a bit about cosplay. So first of all, how did you get into cosplay? How long have you been cosplaying for?
All right, so it's a really funny story of how I actually got into cosplay. Like, you know how like peer pressure is sometimes like portrayed very negatively. In this case, like I got into cosplay because of peer pressure. It was about, I think it was like 7 years ago. My friends peer pressured me to go to a popular convention here that's really known for cosplay called KatsuCon. They were like, yeah, like it's really fun, it's super nerdy, you can dress up as whatever you like, and like get to meet a lot of cool people. And at first I was like really on the fence about it because I didn't know if I'd fit in, and I'd be like, okay, like, plus I was very shy at the time, so I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. But they were like, you could dress up as whatever you want. So I was like, okay, then I guess I could cosplay a Pokemon trainer. So I decided to like throw together a OC Pokemon trainer from the contents of my closet and go to this con like completely like oblivious to how much that I was like fell in love with cosplay, because you could actually like being there, like I saw so many cool designs that people like threw together or made, and I met so many interesting people. And like from there, like I just don't look back. Like I'm just like I love cosplay, and I'm like I've been addicted ever since.
That's awesome. Did anything at KatsuCon in particular stand out to you and inspire you to sort of actually cosplay more regularly as a thing, as a
I would say it's definitely the people and how they put together their costumes, because they were like, most of the people there were, I think, in cosplay the time that I went, and like going up and like meeting these people and being like, wow, like where'd you get your cosplay, or like how'd you make your cosplay? It was really interesting hearing their stories and hear things like how they've made it. Like, oh yeah, I've used googly eyes for the rivets of my cool cosplay thing that I made, or like this is made out of cardboard and I painted it up like really cool and like whatever. And it really inspired me, like, because I was like, oh well, I have cardboard, I have like googly eyes and things. Maybe I could make something too. Plus being a big like nerd and that kind of thing, like I have like geeked out a lot seeing like some of my favorite characters in real life, and I wondered if I could do that too with like more characters beyond just my little closet Pokemon trainer. So I was like, maybe I want to do some more and see what else I can create after being so inspired by all these amazing people.
So what was your next cosplay after your sort of like thrown together closet
After my thrown together closet cosplay, I did a few very simple costumes. I think my next one was, I'm pretty sure it was Liz and Patty Soul Eater costume, which I did with my sister. And then I think it was a Starfire from Teen Titans. And then the one that I actually like had like a new sense of pride for, because I like super challenged myself, was actually I think it was like my third costume or my fourth costume, which was my Nightingale costume, Skyrim, which was really challenging. It was a very ambitious build because it was entirely made from pleather, which was a pretty new material for me to sew after not sewing for years. I think the last time I sewed was like in high school for like a class, and I was like, I'm gonna make this really intense armor from a video game I love that is entirely made out of this really complicated fabric called pleather. I didn't even know how to pronounce the name at the time. I'm pretty sure I pronounced it as pea leather. I was so inexperienced. And I just dived right into that. I managed to finish it after having a lot of fits on like sewing it and like having my machine not sew the material because it's really complicated and hard to sew. But I'd say that was probably the costume that really made me most proud of my work because because it was such a challenge and it was something so new to me.
That's cool. Obviously you've been cosplaying for several years now. What are some of your favorite cosplays?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question because I love them all so differently. Like for instance, I really like my Ruby cosplays, which I have probably some 20 of, because I love her character and her designs are like really cool. She has a really big scythe that turns into a gun, and I love that. So that's my favorite one. I also super love my monster designs because I love taking crazy characters that are like insanely cool, like the Xenomorph Queen or Godzilla, and finding ways to like humanify them or make them into a gajinka and kind of like take characteristics from the creature and make them fit for something like to be worn at a pool. So I think that's really fun. But choosing a favorite, gosh, I don't think I can because I love them all so much.
I feel that. I have a similar thing with games, so.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, totally. I feel that too.
For me, it's when people ask me what's my favorite comic I've made, and it's like, how could I choose? Like,
it's like I can't choose. They're like my children.
How dare you make me?
It's like choosing a favorite child.
Yeah, exactly. So what is your main draw to like a character to make you cosplay them?
Gosh, I would say I really like cutesy characters, for one. I also look at like their personality and that kind of thing. So like sweet, hyper, nice. But then on like the completely opposite spectrum, like I'm just like, I want something cool and badass. Like I want like this really strong character, like my monster stuff. I'm just like, So I channel a very like cutesy, monstery feel. I don't know.
That's cool. So you make your cosplays yourself. Describe the steps from idea to showcase, sort of like at a convention or a photo shoot.
Yeah. So most of my costumes I do handmade. So how I begin is the very first step is the most important step, is the research step. So I pretty much figure out how I'm putting things together, what parts are being completely made from scratch, what parts I am getting pieces for and modifying, and what pieces I'm buying. So I'll like start there. Sometimes I'll have a concept sketch, like for my gajinkas and that kind of thing to base stuff off of. Or if it's based on a character like someone from a video game like Borderlands, like I've done Tiny Tina, I'd have like a billion reference photos that I like refer off of. From there, I get things like materials, and while I'm waiting for materials, I start doing patterning, like duct tape mock-ups and like drawing things out and pretty much preparing for when those materials come in, or if I already have the materials, I'll just like start with what I have. Generally, it takes at least a month. Sometimes it could take up to 6 months for me to make a costume, depending on the complexity of it. each costume has its own things to it. Like some of them are more foam built or more fabric built, so everything will be very different. And then like by the time like it comes to the convention, you like usually I notice that I like to work up until the last day of the con or the day before I leave for the con, which is probably very unhealthy, but it's what happens because I am constantly working on cosplay and I'm constantly looking at like, oh, how can I improve my costume? What can I add to my costume? What else can I do? So I'm always like, okay, right before I go to the con, still working on the costume, get to the con, throw it all on for like the first time, be like, wow, I'm done. All that hard work.
That's cool. I've had that a lot. A lot of cosplayers I know are literally, cosplay crunch.
Oh yeah, the crunch is definitely real.
And I've noticed like you do quite a lot of or quite a few mashups or really original ideas. So like your Ruby Borderlands cosplay.
Yes.
How do they come about?
Okay, so I love mashups, especially when it like combines two things that I love. So like for Ruby Lands, before I cosplayed a lot of Ruby, I actually cosplayed a lot of Borderlands. Borderlands is like one of my favorite games. And how that idea came was both Ruby and Borderlands have a lot of guns and it's like really cool weapons. And I was like, well, like, what if we combine the two worlds? So I took two characters. So I took Ruby, who I like cosplay already, and Gage, who I play in Borderlands, and combined the two. Like I took characteristics from the two of them. So for instance, like I took the general aesthetic of Gage. So like with her vest, with the cool little logo that's on the back and her little lunchbox, that kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, what if I apply like Ruby stuff to it? So for instance, the vest, like instead of it having the skull on the back, I decided to do like, okay, so it's going to have the rose on the back. And the lunchbox was going to have the little Zwei butt on it. And like it would all have like little different characteristics that kind of touched on both Ruby and Borderlands, which was really fun to do because I love both so much. And to have like little nods to each series was really fun to do.
That's cool. I love how they came about because I love both those characters as well too. Okay, so on the other spectrum, we have like your, I think you called it like a Cosplay.
Oh yeah, the Cosplay. Like that's the sea bass one, right?
Yeah.
Oh god, that was so much fun to do. I think that was like one of my favorite costumes of the year.
How did you get that idea? Honestly.
Okay. So to be honest, that was a 3 a.m. decision, which are always like kind of iffy decisions, but this one was great. So I was online and I saw something like kind of called like a fish flop, which is a flip flop fish that you can put on your feet. I don't know. And I was like so amazed of this idea. Like I was like, what an amazing pun. Like this is so ridiculous. And then like I was like, okay, so I know I don't need these fish flops, but I need them. Like I must have them. And I need to make a costume that revolves around this fish flop. Fish flop. I don't know why he say fish flop. So like I figured, what if I cosplayed a sea bass? Because everyone's been catching the sea bass in Animal Crossing, and that's a really big game right now. Like I know I play that game every day. And annoyingly enough, like I catch sea bass like every day, and I hate it.
Yep.
So I cosplayed a sea bass. So I impulse bought the fish flops. I found a really disturbing fish head online and got that too. Got a swimsuit, a whole bunch of scales to paint and glue to the swimsuit, and just made this entirely cursed costume that was completely built up on puns and memes.
That's great. That's absolutely excellent. So what's like the most frustrating part of making a cosplay?
I would say the most frustrating part is definitely when you like reach roadblocks and that kind of thing, or like you're working on something and you're just not really feeling motivated. That's a big issue. I know, especially like right now with like all the cons like canceling, so it's kind of hard for people to stay motivated because it's like, what am I even building this for? Um, so that's definitely hard. Personally, like for me, like I know a hard part like that I have like is like starting the costume because it's like so new and you have to start with like different patterns. And I hate patterning. Like I do so much patterning and I hate it. Personally, like I would much rather like be at the detail stages. Like, can I just fast forward to detail? No, we gotta do patterning. Patterning takes a lot of time. So I definitely say like between the like starting a costume can be like pretty hard and rough, and like especially like starting a costume like during a time like now where it's like, what am I starting it for? You kind of have to like find ways to like motivate yourself to like be like, oh, like it, like this will be worth it at the end. Like you got this, fam.
So, what do you think you're better at now versus when you sort of first started cosplaying?
Oh gosh, there's so much that I've improved on. Because like for instance, like I like to go back and rework costumes or like do remakes or improve on things. Like for instance, like my Tiny Tina Borderlands. I think I've redone that costume like 5 times. Um, Definitely like my sewing has improved tremendously. Because I've been sewing for so long. I've gone to school and taken classes and worked in like a costume shop. So that's definitely improved tremendously. My foam work has gotten much better. Like before, I had no idea how to cut foam, but I'm practicing, and especially with a lot with my Doomslayer costume, which I'm currently building, which is almost entirely foam. Um, I think I'm also have improved on utilizing different materials. So for instance, like I'm exploring things like different clays and different moldings and resin casting and all types of things that I like during like when I first started I would try out, and I would just be like, I don't know what I'm doing. But that's what's really great about cosplay is like you can start and be like super clueless, but like as you make more and more things, like you definitely see how much you improve. So like it's definitely like practice makes perfect, or close to perfect, because you're never actually gonna hit perfection, or at least I don't think so, because I'm just like, oh, I can always get better at something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've improved in a lot of spots with cosplay, which is really cool to see.
So, when you did a recent mayamada creativity interview, you mentioned you like a challenge. What has
Oh
been
yeah.
your most challenging cosplay?
Oh gosh, there's been a lot. Okay, so Godzilla was definitely a big challenge, considering that costume was made entirely from foam clay, and I had to make it so that it's safe to take into a pool. Well, if you've worked with foam clay, like you'll know that foam clay kind of melts when you get it wet. So I'm taking it to a pool, and I don't know, that doesn't really work well. Additionally, I wanted to make the spikes light up. And again, going to a pool and electronics plus water don't mix like at all. So I had to get really creative with how I was going to put that costume together. So to solve the foam clay problem, I decided to use something called Plastidip, and which is like a rubber kind of like primer sealer thing. And I sprayed that and painted it on the entirety of my costume because it was all foam clay and everything was like hand sculpted to protect that foam from melting. And I painted it up like super nicely and sealed it so it was like wouldn't come off in the pool. And then like for my electronic issue, I actually found some like tea light things that had enclosed so batteries and were fine to put in like things like so vases and things for like parties. So they were like waterproof. So I got a ton of those. I think I had like some 70 of them or something. And I had to make each spike have its own set of lights. And I had to make it so that things like the pieces for the tail all were detachable, so I can access those light spots, so I can like light each one by one, which was a fun time. It was a lot of work. But I ended up accomplishing it and I got it all to be pool safe, not fall apart, and look really cool because it like the tail additionally floated because it was a pool noodle essentially, with like little foam plates with the waterproof lighting and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I definitely say that is one of my more challenging costumes that I've done. That and my Doomslayer costume definitely very challenging, which is my current build, and that's just like super challenging because it's so much detail. Like every time I look at the reference photo, there is more details that I missed. I'm just like, no, gotta go back and put that in.
Well, it seems like you learn a lot from that cosplay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you think the sort of biggest lesson you learned from that you'll take forward into new cosplays?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned is nothing's necessarily impossible. Since I didn't think that I could make something that would be safe to wear in the pool, but I found a way. So it made me more confident in my abilities and more open to different ideas and to try new things and to challenge myself with new materials. I think that was the biggest takeaway that I actually had from that costume is I could do things that I might have seen like as not possible, like if I started. So it definitely gave me a new sense of confidence.
That's good. It's a really good lesson to learn from it, right?
Oh yeah.
So obviously I know at the moment conventions are a thing of mythical.
Past.
Yeah. Like unicorns. We don't know when they're going to appear.
Will they appear again?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know.
Soon there'll be stories of the past. But hopefully soon we'll be able to eventually get back to them. So typically, not when we're not in quarantine, how many conventions do you normally attend as a cosplayer?
Normally, I go to 1 to 2 conventions a month. Except during the spring and the fall. Like during the spring and the fall, like it's usually like 1 or 2 conventions period because there's not a whole lot in the fall and the spring. It's a lot. It's a lot of traveling and a lot of like putting stuff together like really quickly to wear to a new con. That it's fun though. I miss it. I miss the crunch and I miss traveling and seeing friends. It's like can't wait for the next one.
I'm sure it'll be back soon.
Please. I'm so lonely.
And you'll be happy that you spent a lot of time making new cosplays.
Exactly, yeah. Have all this time to work on cosplay.
What's your sort of like approach to going to conventions? Is it like, do you mainly focus on hanging out? Do you ever host events? Do you do any panels?
My main focus is experience. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with cosplay was because of the community. I love the community so much. I love to meet people. So that's a big reason why I host events. For instance, I host things like cookie parties, which are like little gatherings where we all get like little cookies and we all have like a little picnic type of thing, which is really fun.
cute.
I love the panels. So I love to go there and like things or host something and like spread my knowledge to a community, meet them and that kind. Also, I love to go to conventions to like reunite with people who I haven't seen in years. I feel like most of my friends are all from the cosplay community that I've met like throughout the years, and a lot of them like I see like once a year. So it's really like a big family like reunion. So whenever I go to these cons, so I definitely say that's probably like one of my all-time favorite things is seeing my friends again and making friends. I think that's so important.
Yeah, definitely. What's been your favorite convention? I'm sorry to ask you another
Oh
favorite
my gosh.
question.
Okay, so I have to like break this down into like maybe three. RTX is definitely one of my favorites. That's a Rooster Teeth convention down in Austin, Texas. I love that one because it has a very like small time feel. Even though it's really big. So a lot of my friends go to that one, and like Rooster Teeth themselves are like incredibly nice and incredibly like great to their following, and they'll host a lot of things, so you get to, which is really cool. Another one that I super like is ColossalCon. I like ColossalCon a lot because it is essentially a water park con. So it is the most like different out there con that I've ever like really gone to, because there's not a lot of water park conventions.
Never even heard of it before. Didn't know that was a thing.
It is really cool.
Wow.
This is what happens when you live in the UK. It's like you can't have nice things here.
You guys see the ColossalCon there, like ColossalCon UK? That'd be great.
I'll talk to someone.
I mean, water and our cold weather, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, true. That's a good point. Well, indoor water park. You guys can have like an indoor water park.
And we do get like a good 2 weeks of summer per year. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And we don't know when that's going to be.
No, it's like a surprise.
Because we have lockdown, obviously it's lasted a whole month.
Yeah.
We should this as soon as we're allowed anywhere. But
I feel that. Man, you guys need to click on. But yeah, definitely that one. Like, it also has like a laser tag and an arcade and like a petting zoo. It has like so much stuff. So that's why that one's so great. And then of course the last one, which is a new one that I went to this last year, was Holiday Matsuri, which is in Florida. And that con's like really fun because it's around Christmas time that they have it. So generally most people take characters and cosplay Christmas versions or holiday versions. And I think that's really cute and fun, like festive way to like kind of like celebrate their fandom thing. Plus it's really close to like Disney World and Universal Studios. So after the con, like I know that so me and my friends went to Harry Potter World, which was really fun. So like there's a lot to do with that con, which is why it's on my favorites list. So I definitely break it down to those three.
Oh, I'm just like blown away by the water park one still. I'm just going to be thinking about that constantly.
Like definitely look it up. Like it is really cool. Like I know like one year they had like baby tigers that you can go pet. Really cool. I know they don't have the baby tigers anymore, but they definitely had it at one point, and I was super jealous I wasn't there that year because I was like, I would love to like hold a baby tiger.
Oh, my heart is literally melting right now. Oh my god.
I
know. I need a minute, I think.
It's a lot of process.
Yeah, it is. Like a water park, petting baby tigers, literally. Oh my god.
Like I'm serious. Like look up these music videos that people put up from this con. Like it is like crazy. That's how I found it. I was just like, oh wow, I gotta go to Colossal Con now. They have tiger.
As soon as we finished recording this, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna watch the video. It's like, wow.
Yes, definitely.
What has been the best reaction to a cosplay that you've done?
The best reaction that I've gotten. I really like the like reactions to things like my Gajinka builds, like for the monster ones, like especially like when I'm like making it, like because it's not necessarily the monster like it's a Gajinka version, so it's like Midnight version, so I have to like take things and like be like, I hope this portrays as a shark from Jaws. Hopefully it does. So like when people come up to me and they're like, oh yeah, you're Bruce the shark from Jaws, that looks awesome, I'm like, yes. That's what I wanted you to like get from this costume I spent so hard working on. So I think that's definitely like one of my favorite reaction, like, is when it's like it's kind of validated that like I actually portrayed something to look the way I wanted it to look, even though it looks vastly different. So I'm like definitely really like that.
Awesome. So you've convinced us that we need to head to the US for some cons.
Over.
But have you been to any outside of the US?
No, I want to so bad. I like, okay, so a dream con that I really want to go to, I think it's like MGM in London.
MCM.
Oh, MCM.
That's it. Like I see so many pictures from that con and it looks so fun. And I have a lot of friends up there. So I'm just like, okay, so I need to get my passport maybe within the next like year or two and
you
go
got
up there. Yeah.
You go there.
And eventually make it there. Like that's a dream con. Same thing with like Gamescom. I think that's in Germany.
Yeah,
that one looks really fun. Like I'm a huge gamer nerd, so I'm just like, oh, I want to go so bad. So
we should do like an exchange trip type thing.
Yeah,
like, exactly. I'll come over there.
Come to
and you come here for London.
Like
and then we'll go Gamescom together.
You know what's another good one is Japan Expo in France, in Paris.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Like there are so many overseas cons that I want to do. It looks so fun. And I like see all the pictures all like through Instagram and through my friends. And I'm just like, I wish I was there one day.
It's always the worst thing. I'm even like that with UK ones. I'm like, I can't go to this one, and I'll see people posting from it, and I'll be like, I'm on my way.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Cannot stay away from them. Well, now I can because I have to. But
yeah, I
know. We won't talk about that too much. Yeah, so obviously there's not like cosplay school.
No.
But is there any aspects of your cosplay that you've had any kind of formal training in, or is it all self-taught?
It started off as self-taught, but then I like really fell in love with costume while I was in college. So I decided to take classes. For instance, like I've taken design classes, fiber classes, art classes, costume classes. I've worked in a costume shop. I've I founded a cosplay club. So I eventually like kind of was like, okay, so I really love this hobby. I want to do more with it. So I just decided to include it in like every part of my life. So it was like, I'm going to take all these classes. I'm going to like have a job that involves cosplay. I'm all these things so I can improve my craft. And it definitely has. Like, I'm so thankful that I actually did like what I did, because I don't know if I'd be here doing what I am doing if I hadn't done it. So yeah, definitely took classes and things to help prove, which helped.
Yeah. So when are you at your best with creating? When do you work best?
Oh gosh, like I've like cursed of being like best at working either at the really late hours of the night, like 3 a.m. I'm just like, I'm so motivated, I could stay up all night and work. Or the very rare times that I do wake up at like 8 in the morning and I'm like, okay, got my cup of coffee, I'm ready to work. But that rarely happens, because usually I am staying up till 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. because that's the time I get really motivated. It's easier to stay awake than get up in the morning, is what
I think we suffer from the same curse. That's literally how I got through like school, was doing photography. It was like I'd be up till 3 a.m., be late for my other lessons because they were in the morning, but get to photography and be like, all my work is done and it's great. Because I was up till 3 a.m. last night. It must be a creativity thing.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
I guess are you probably, I don't know what happened to my words just then. So you're similar to me with staying up late. Are you similar to me with like crunch time? So I'm very good at working really well last minute.
Yes. Oh my God, that is so true. Like when it's like a week before the con, like I get like really like focused. Like I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna like work super hard. I like work like 14 hours a day, and I'm just like, all right, we're gonna get this costume done. Let's go with this con crunch. I think that's when I'm most focused to get something done, and like miracles happen, and they do get like mostly done. But I feel that.
Yeah, limited time. You're like, it's now or never. So
yep.
Best ideas are just like, boom.
Exactly. I feel that. I really do.
So we've touched on a bit about, obviously at the moment being stuck at home, it can really be hard to find motivation. But how do you stay productive when you're working from home?
Well, when I'm working from home, like how I keep my production going, I like try to like make goals for myself. So like each week, like I'll be like, okay, so I want to do this. Like I want to finish the blade of my Doom costume this. And like I like do like goals throughout the day and throughout the week, like to do. And then to like kind of keep myself focused. I like to like play something that's in the background. So sometimes I'll have like a podcast on, or I will be listening to like maybe like the Doom soundtrack because I'm working on a costume, and that gets me really hyped up and motivated. So I think that's like really good to have up. I also liked to watch things like vlogs and things. So if there's a con that I'm like looking forward to, or something that like I've like wanting to do, like for instance, like right now, like I'm on a big Mothman kick. So I've been watching like stuff like on Mothman and stuff on like the Mothman Festival, which I want to do eventually. I don't know if I'll do this year, but eventually I'll do it. So that's definitely have been keeping me going and keeping me wanting to make more. And then of course, like once I get to a point with my costume, like once I get to like doing detail work and I finally start to see my piece coming together, that's when like I'm kind of like self-motivated, because I'm like, oh man, this is almost done. It looks so cool. And I'm just really trash for details. Like I love details so much. So like from there, like it's just like I got this. So once I get to that detail point, like it's like, okay, there's nothing that's gonna stop me, not even me being really sleepy and wanting to go to bed at 4 a.m.
Cool. And what do you think what's the biggest misconception about cosplayers?
Biggest misconception, I definitely say, is people who think that it's just dressing up. It is definitely not dressing up. It is a lot more. Like as for instance, like with the building stuff, which I briefly like discussed, like it takes a lot of time to put costumes together. Like I know most of my costumes take me at minimum a month for me to put together, and that's me like waking up, working through my costume up until I go to bed. I don't stop working until I like go to sleep. So yeah, I would definitely say it's like the amount of work that goes into costuming. And like now, like cosplay is my full-time job, and like a lot of people are like, wow, that's such a easy job. No, it's not. Like I swear, like I don't stop working. I am working all the time. And it's not just on cosplay. Like I'm also my own accountant. I'm my own promoter. Like I do all the marketing stuff for it. I do all the finance. I do all the shipping. Like there is so much that goes into this that a lot of people have like conceptions about. I just like think it's like an easy job, when in reality it's probably the most difficult job that I've ever done. But I love it so much. I don't feel like I'm working because this is what I'm so passionate about.
Yeah. I think people forget when someone's like creatively self-employed, they just see like the creative bit. and they
Yeah,
forget
exactly.
that like you have to do all the uncreative bit, which is actually torture.
Oh yeah, I hate doing my taxes.
Literal torture.
It really is though.
So, listeners, you can give us your feedback on this interview. You can let us know what you think about it by sending an email to feedback@mayamada.com. So we're now going to ask a creative tip. So what is your top tip for new cosplayers?
My number one tip for new cosplayers is definitely don't be afraid to fail. People all have a place that they start. Like, you're not gonna like draw up something and you're gonna be like Picasso. Like that's just not gonna happen. So you have to just accept that there will be flaws, but don't accept that that's gonna be like just how it is. Because there's always room for improvement, and the more you make costumes and the more like you practice and that kind of thing, you'll definitely see it. That's what I really love about cosplay is like there's no end all to it. Like there's no like, oh, this is the best I can do. Because there's not. Like you can always improve. Like you can always get better. You're not stuck at like being kind of really bad at doing something. Like it just takes a little practice and time. You just have to have like determination, and you have to believe in yourself. And be accepting that you will make mistakes, but like the next time you go back and do it, like you'll probably improve. You'll most likely improve, and like that's what's so great about this hobby. Like like you can learn so much from it, and it's so rewarding, and I like so recommend it to people. Like you just kind of just have to hop in. Like if you want to cosplay, just do it. Believe in yourself. You can do it.
Excellent. Very motivational. So we're going to have some bonus questions, some more like fun general questions.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in and throw more questions at you because this is what we like doing.
Yeah.
So actually, you just out of interest, you mentioned like you listen to podcasts while you work. Do you have any podcast recommendations?
Yes. Lately, I listen to a lot of Rooster Teeth podcasts. So like the RT podcast, I have Achievement Hunter, that kind of thing. I definitely recommend them. They have a lot of podcasts. So if you're looking for something to listen to, super recommend. I also recommend things like on YouTube, like if you're looking for like crafting things, there's a lot of cool cosplayers who post like how they build things and whatnot. Like I watch like Kamui cosplays, tutorial stuff a lot. Also like Punish Props has a lot of really good ones. Tested. There's a lot on YouTube, so if you're looking to get like really motivated and see how people like create things, I definitely recommend. They're
cool.
Amazing.
No, that sounds good. So I was also thinking like this whole obviously that discussion about conventions and sort of like not being able to do the usual thing. And like earlier today, I was listening to someone talk about how obviously going through a big change, but it's a case of it's not like your goals have stopped. It's just like you're finding a different path to them. So I guess for you, like social media is a big thing. Like, how do you think it's changed cosplay, and how do you see it being sort of used more, like going forward? Now that that's one of the main, maybe in some cases, only places that people can display their cosplays.
Well, one way how I've seen it change with everything that's going on is, for instance, like a lot more people are streaming because you really can't go and like do a panel at a convention now. Like it's all at home. So like there are a bunch of conventions that are solely the websites. So they'll do like a online convention, which is super cool to see. So people will like have like these little like stream days where they'll like stream a panel or they'll stream like a cosplay gathering, which is really interesting because like it allows us to like kind of have a con without like really. So it's like a nice kind of like filler thing to have during the really weird time. Another thing that I'm seeing a lot with online and like social media with cosplay and the big changes and whatnot is a lot of people are like, for instance, doing cosplay at home. Like maybe they're getting like backdrops and shooting from home. Like I know that I've been doing that a lot, so I have like a whole variety of backdrops now. So I'm like set for the next, so I can continue to shoot my costumes and having content, which is nice. On another spectrum, like some people are handling it a little bit differently. So they are more so like using time to kind of have a break because like for like before the whole situation with COVID and whatever, like I know a lot of people were like crunching out costumes and like that kind of thing. But now with all the canceled, this gives people more time to work on things or maybe give themselves a break, play like video games, just calm down a bit, get back to cosplay events. So people are handling it very differently, and you can definitely social media.
No, it's cool. Yeah, I guess like I said, it's like just using what you've got to still achieve like the goals that you set out to do. In your case, like cosplay and things like that. And yeah, I definitely get the more time element because even with myself, like having sort of more time has allowed me to think about sort of future stories, future manga stories that I want to work on. So yeah.
True, exactly.
Yeah, I was looking at your Twitter, and so feel free to fact check me if I've got this completely wrong. But there was a mention of wanting to cosplay as Keanu Reeves. Is that true?
Oh my god, yes! Oh, that would be so great. Because I think it would be so funny to like walk around a con and just tell people that they're breathtaking.
Yeah.
I would live for that. That would be the funnest moment. Like I feel like cosplay, like what makes cosplay like a lot of fun, like is like becoming the character and like just having fun being this character. I think being Keanu Reeves would be so much fun.
It must be pretty cool to be Keanu Reeves, even if it was just
yeah,
for a day.
definitely.
Yeah.
And getting to call people breathtaking all day, I'll be there for that.
Yeah.
I'll dress as John Wick and call people breathtaking throughout the day. I am ready.
Do you have a favorite Keanu Reeves film?
John Wick is really cool. Like I love the action in that, so I definitely say that.
Okay, so I need to catch up on it. I mistakenly watched part of the third one. It wasn't my fault; it was already on. So I feel like I need to go back and watch them in the proper order. So that's like
I think I've seen one of them. Like I need to watch the rest of them. I'm just so far behind in watching things because I've been so busy throughout the year. So, but hey, I got time. Like I mean, I think my next con is in like a few months, so I got a lot of time to watch things.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of watching things, like just to wrap up, like, are there any stories that you've been able to catch up on, like films, TV shows, anime, books?
Evangelion was one that I actually just watched for the first time because I am so behind in watching things. So I actually watched all the movies, which was really cool. I also watched a slice of life anime called The Melancholy Life of Haruhi, which was really funny. Really interesting as well. There are still a lot of shows I need to catch up on, but I'm like, I get like really excited about a lot of different things. So I just have a lot of shows that I'm like currently watching and that kind of thing. Like I still need to finish Demon Slayer. I haven't finished it yet, but it's so good. Just like we'll finish it during this weird time, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like you've got like a big virtual list of things that you're just going to be working through. Yeah, I guess we all have really. And yeah, no. As a final thing, just where can people find out more about you and the projects you're working on? Let us know.
Well, I am on most social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, Twitter. If you look up Labinnak, it is cannibal spelled backwards except with a K. A skull should come up. That is me. Or you look up LM Cosplays, Labinnak and Mangaloo Cosplays, and I'll also. But if you see the cosplay skull, that's me. That's where you can find all my cool stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll put those in the episode description so people can click through and check that out. Cool. But yeah, no, thank you for joining us. It's been really, it's really good listening to like your journey and everything that you put into your work as a cosplayer.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, definitely. So yeah, listeners can check out all our episodes, past, present, and future, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube as well. You can also leave us a review if you enjoyed the show, and just generally help us spread the word of what we're doing on Story X Story by sharing the podcast with your friends and followers and all that good stuff. So we didn't talk too much about it today, but we do make our own stories. Mayamada is a manga universe full of different characters, and you can check out our manga style comic books at mayamada.com/manga. And we also have a video game event, which we are currently adapting to be an online video game event. And just thinking about how to integrate like cosplay into that as well. So these are all some of the things that we're going to be thinking about. But you can check that out at gamepad.events. And when we get more information on how to get involved, it will be right there. And so, yeah, that's been our episode for today. Thanks for joining us. We're going to have more podcast episodes, sort of more guests, more interviews from different creators, and more deep dives into stories across pop culture. A final reminder that our email address is feedback@mayamada.com. You can send us your feedback on anything we've discussed today, and check out the website to listen to episodes and subscribe at mayamada.com/storyxstory. Until next time, stay tuned and also stay safe. Take care.